Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Adam Interviews. We are in October already, which is hard to believe, and we continue to attract amazing guests, people who are doing amazing things. In this case, it's someone who has been doing amazing things and is about to put a period at the end of a very long career. With that, please help me welcome to the stage Don Stevens, the Amerks broadcaster for 40 years, 4 decades. Don, thank you so much for joining us.
That's a long time. Makes me sound like I'm old or something.
Uh-oh.
Of course, that's just a small part of it, though, is the 40 years, because I was already 17, 18 years into the business when I came here. So
yeah,
it's 58
years, huh?
Yeah.
What were you doing prior to the Amerks?
I was in Salt Lake in the International League, and then was Seattle, really all over the West Coast, up and down with hockey and so a little bit of football, but baseball and world team tennis and lots of different sports out west.
Is that where you're from originally?
I'm from Alberta, a small town by the Saskatchewan border, about midway up the province in Alberta. And then I was left there when I was 7, went to Vancouver, and left there when I was 14 and went to Denver. So I've been in the States since I was 14.
Oh.
So that's almost 10 years now.
Yeah. Is that why I can't pick up on a Canadian accent? Is that, does it come out at all, the Canadian accent?
But occasionally, about time, yeah. Not much, I don't think, because like I said, I was pretty young when I came. So,
what was that like growing up in Alberta?
I was a farm out in the middle of nowhere, and I don't remember a whole lot about it. Like I said, we moved to Vancouver when I was about 7, so I don't remember much about it. Vancouver went through that was going through school. It was actually where we had indoor plumbing and a lot of different things that we didn't have on the farm. So that was all of a sudden becoming civilized. So that was a lot different. And then moving to the States when I was 14, that was, of course, a big change too.
Why did you guys move?
My parents were moving for trying to better life, if you will, and the one reason we moved to Denver was my uncle had a huge toy business in the Mile High City and my parents went to Denver to work for him. Wow.
So I'm guessing pond hockey, big deal growing up, or?
Yeah, we had the slough, as they call it, out in back of the farmhouse was well utilized. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're in Denver, and how did you get attracted to radio?
My mother said, "You talk a lot. Why don't you get into broadcasting?" That's a true story. That's what really happened. That really happened. Because I went through high school. I kind of got banged up in football, and I ended up dropping out of school and trying to get back healthy. And I got back in, finished high school, and didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't have a clue. I was working some jobs here and there, and that's when my mother said, well, try broadcasting. She contacted a radio station in Denver and said, how does somebody get into broadcasting? And they said, well, you might try there's a broadcasting school in Minneapolis called Brown Institute. You might try that. So she contacted them, and they sent me a letter out of the blue. And look at this letter, and my dad and I went and they asked for a tape. My dad and I went to Sears and got a little tape recorder.
Oh my gosh.
And out of a lark, just sort of jokingly, I sent them a tape. And of course, they sent back a letter, obviously a form letter, saying, you have the greatest voice in the history of broadcasting. Come to our school. It was a real marketing tool to get them. So I went there. I was there for 10 months and then got my first job in Nebraska.
Oh, okay. Very good. Yeah, I served some time in Colorado and drove through Nebraska. It's a beautiful place, and what a place to start your career, too.
I was 3.5 years in Grand Island, Nebraska. Yeah. And, really, you stop and think about it, that was in the middle of nowhere. You got to know the Gophers pretty well, but it was probably the best thing that could have happened to me because I did everything.
Yep, that's it.
And I really learned the business from the ground up, doing everything.
Yeah, no, in fact, by the way, I have passed through Nowhere, Nebraska. It is a place.
That was right next to Grand Island, yeah.
Is it really? No, but look, that's where you earn your stripes, so to speak. So how did you end up here in Rochester?
As I said, I was working in Salt Lake in the International League, and the general manager at the time, George Bergans, was looking for somebody to come here to replace John Gertler, who was going to Buffalo as their PR person. And I had like 3 offers, I think it was in the summer. One of them being in Glens Falls, and a guy by the name of Neil Smith, who was Rangers and Adirondack, had just done a search for somebody there, which I had turned them down. And George called him and said, "Well, have you got names for me that I could try?" And he says, "Yeah, I have just called this guy." So he called me, and the rest was history.
That's amazing. Had you been doing play-by-play broadcasting for hockey prior to that? Let me step back. When you were in Nebraska, what type of radio did you do?
Well, I had a DJ show,
nice.
and I was the assistant news director, and I was the sports director, and we did lots of sports with football, basketball, Legion baseball in the summertime. Even did car racing and horse racing, and so like I said, did a little bit of all of it.
Yeah. So you have the classic radio baritone voice. When did that develop? Did your mom pick up on that, or did you just luck out and that kind of came as you moved into the industry?
I didn't know till this day that I had a classic.
Oh, come on!
No,
yeah.
I don't know. That's just my voice, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you lucked out then. So you got to Rochester, New York. What made you choose? I mean, if you had other suitors, what made you choose Rochester?
Well, actually, a friend of mine by the name of Pete Weber, he's the voice of the Nashville Predators in the National Hockey League. He had done some things here in Rochester and Buffalo. He'd been in Buffalo most of the time. And he says, "Well, Rochester's the place you want to go out of the ones that were available." So I kind of listened to him, and that's how I ended up here.
That's amazing. So I think if I read this correctly, that it was 86, 87 season that you popped it in?
It was 85, 86.
85,
86, 87. Warren is my left-hand guy, right? He's my bodyguard these days.
Yeah, I understand. so you came into the mid-'80s.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. What was the Rochester hockey scene like when you got here?
Well, it's kind of interesting. So when I was hired actually, the Knoxes, Seymour and Nordy Knox were the owners of the Sabres organization, which included Rochester. And son, the fourth, Seymour Knox the fourth, I call him Quad.
Okay.
First day on the job, when I arrived in town, he picked me up at the airport, and he said, on the way downtown, he said, "You're going to like it here because in the winter, the Rochester Americans are the social event of the community." And it was absolutely true.
Was it really?
Yeah, really. I mean, it was just everything surrounded. Wednesday and Friday nights was Rochester Americans, and a lot of Sundays too. So it was very popular at that time. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually the War Memorial at the time, very popular. High school basketball games. I mean, it's still, the Blue Cross Arena is still very popular, but it was, you're right, that was a centerpiece. And that's interesting. So did you quickly adapt to the Rochester life, or did you think you were going to stay here forever, or did you think this is just a stop along the way?
This was a 2-year stop.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what my wife said. Well, when I told her we were going to the East Coast, she says, "Well, how long are we going to be there?" And I said, 2 years max.
Max.
Yeah. So I'm surprised. I'm still surprised that, I was still here that long.
What made you stay?
Well, a lot of circumstances. It was after a while, my kids were getting older, and it got to the point where I didn't want to move them out of their schools and away from their friends, like I had already done, and ripped them out and moved them from West Coast to East Coast. So I really didn't want to do that again. So things for a while were working out pretty good. Then it kind of went downhill, but now they've gone back up, and I think somebody was sort of watching over me and directing me and where I should be and what I should be doing in my life. And it's turned out to be the absolute best decision to not go anywhere else. Yeah.
And now, while we're calling you a broadcaster play-by-play, you, like, I guess your first station in Nebraska, you've held many hats within the Amerks organization. Why don't you tell me about that?
Well, and again, when I came here, there were 7 of us in the office, ran the whole thing, and we operated it at 93% of capacity. It was a smaller building at the time, but still over 7,000, and there were 7 of us. So did everything from sales and I wasn't a mascot. I didn't do the mascot.
Okay. All right. Wait.
But I did public relations. I did the travel a couple of times, and then of course the broadcast too. And then at that time we had a TV show, the Amerks Report, which was really good. Took a lot of time to put that together. It was on the cable channel 9. What was it called at that time?
Our News.
Yeah. I believe so. Yeah. And so that was big. Yeah, did a little bit of everything.
Yeah, no, it's impressive. Did you ever get out there and play with the guys?
No, definitely not. No, I can skate, and I played a little men's league hockey and that, but that was about it. No, they didn't need another pylon getting in the way out there.
Yeah. How closely do you interact with the players? Did you get to befriend any of them and then kind of watch their career after that?
Back when I first got here, very friendly. I had people over at my house all the time. They would come for dinner. We had backyard volleyball games, and we'd do a lot of stuff at my house. But as time grew along, that when the players became the age of my kids, and
of course,
and then became the age of my grandkids, and that, so it's further apart than before.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a different bit of the players are a little different than it was back then. We had a lot of families back then. Guys that had a wife and 2 or 3 kids or whatever, and so we had family gatherings and that. But today, the players are all so young; they don't have families yet. I don't know if we even have any kids around this year or not. We got one that has a kid, I guess. So, and that's about it. So it's a different group.
Yeah, that's interesting. The evolution. And how has the American Hockey League changed since you began?
Well, first of all, in size.
Yeah.
When I came here, it was 12 teams. Now it's 32 teams, and we weren't necessarily top affiliate of a National Hockey League team. Some were. We were, because Buffalo owned the team. But now it's one team per one NHL team, and the league has just grown to match the National Hockey League.
Absolutely. It must be interesting to watch. I'm sure you've seen players who have gone on to have quality and successful NHL careers.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
That's the fun part. I watch a game on TV or whatever, and I think there's just about any team that I watch, there's somebody that's gone through Rochester.
Yeah.
It makes it much more interesting to watch those games from other teams.
I can only imagine. So here's what I find particularly impressive. One, it's tough to do play-by-play for any sport because you got to be on point, and it's even harder on radio because you have to paint the picture. And then I've got to think it's got to even be harder for hockey because it moves so fast. What kind of artistry, what type of practice goes into something like that?
Well, I don't know if it was because I was born Canadian and almost born with skates on or whatever, but I really didn't have much problem with doing play-by-play as far as hockey's concerned. I actually find it easier because all you're doing is describing what's going on out there. Mm-hmm. Now, I did a couple of years of baseball, and that's where there's a pitch, and then you got how long to tell a story or whatever, and you got to have all of this information, all of these stories.
That's interesting.
And the toughest sport I ever did was World Team Tennis. I loved it. what a great experience that was.
Wow.
But you could only ever get in every third or fourth shot. The ball goes so fast, bang, 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 back and forth, and that was really difficult on radio. TV not quite so bad, but radio was pretty hard.
Yeah, that's interesting. For some reason, I thought hockey would be tough, but you're right. There's something to talk about every second of the game.
They're dictating what I'm saying.
Yeah,
and what's going on out there is what I'm saying. Whereas, like I said, in baseball or whatever, you got to come up with all these outside facts.
Yeah. Any moments or calls that stick out to you over your 40-year career?
Well, they're not any one particular. I mean, there's lots of things that have happened over the years. I guess. I don't know. I think of my first year here. We're in the finals against Sherbrooke, the Canadiens, and we were almost eliminated in Game 6, but Don Lever, who was a player then, he's gone on to be a coach, and now he's a scout for Chicago, I think it is. But he went coast to coast. He went end to end and scored a shorthanded goal, which got us back in the game. We went on, won that game. We went to Sherbrooke and won in Game 7. And then when back a little bit before that, the end of the regular season, we won the regular season championship on the last night in a shootout in Binghamton. Mm-hmm. And there was a huge win. Like I said, we won the regular season championship. We came back into Rochester. What was it, 2 a.m. or something like that? And we turned on the street to go down across the bridge to the War Memorial. We couldn't get the bus through because the bridge was just jammed with people. You couldn't get close to the War Memorial to get off the bus. And then when we won the championship in Sherbrooke, we got back. We got in like 3 or 4 a.m. to the airport, and again, it was just freezing cold out. But there had to be good 3,000-4,000 people that were out there to greet us at the airport at that time in the morning, and then a few days later, we had the celebration party at the War Memorial. Nick and the Nice Guys played, and the fire marshal cut it off at 10,000 people in the building, and the building was just jammed, and it just so happened it was my birthday, so I call it my best ever birthday party. And
for you,
it was that was a great night. But that's kind of, I think, what I remember most is that first season was just incredible.
Yeah, what an introduction to everything, and now you're part of the Hall of Fame, if I'm not mistaken, which is just a tremendous accomplishment over the years. I mean, given that you came thinking it was 2 years and it's been 4 decades, are you happy with how things turned out?
Oh, ecstatic.
Yeah.
The support that I get is just unbelievable. People will say, "Oh, you're famous." I go, "You know what? Yeah, I'm famous within a 50-mile radius."
There you go.
But within that radius, it's just incredible. I don't know that any of us in this business have the right to expect just about 100% support for 40 years. It just doesn't happen, but it feels like that for me.
Yeah, that's tremendous. Were you ever tempted to explore other opportunities, NHL, anything like that?
Oh, I did. Yeah, unfortunately, I had to make a choice when I was 29 years old. I was offered the job of the LA Kings in the National Hockey League, and I turned that down. And I because it was always my goal to get to the NHL, but when you're 29, you figure, I got plenty of time. I got plenty of places to choose from. And it just never worked out that way. But I remember I don't know if you remember a guy by the name of Chick Hearn.
I do know the name, yeah.
Yeah, he was the broadcaster for the Los Angeles Lakers for years, and he was for Jerry Buss in the Forum. He ran their broadcasting. I'll never forget telling him, "You won't believe this, but I got to turn you down."
Wow.
And so that has always been somewhat of a disappointment. But as it turns out, in the end, again, I said that I think somebody was watching over me and made me make the right decisions. I don't know if I would have ever had it that good in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was just interviewing Dan Mason, and he's been here for quite some time as well.
Mason's been around forever, yeah.
And he's had offers, and he decided to stay. And there are no regrets on his part, because at the end of the day, I think in our industry, you kind of do the same thing wherever you are. You just might have more listeners or more viewers. So you got to pick where you're happy and where you feel appreciated. And I think that you have felt that.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt, especially now. Just with all that's happened in the last couple of weeks. And I do have to say that this unveiling, I guess, of my announcement that this is going to be my last season would have never been so impactful if it wasn't for the Rochester American staff, the PR people and Warren Kosel here and Ryan and Andrew and video like Jackie and some of the other people in the office have just done an incredible job of putting this information out there. And last word I heard, I did I don't know if you saw it, a video, the actual announcement on video that this was going to be my last year, put that out. And the last word, it was like 210,000 views. Just mind-boggling.
That is mind-boggling, but it speaks to the impact that you've had. I listen to Yankees games on the radio, and John Sterling has been part of my life for decades. And for him to retire, it was a childhood voice that was disappearing, and there was a lot of emotion for me attached to that. So I think that and there are people in our community who have listened to the Amerks on the radio for years. So I think that will be a big change for them.
I get those messages a lot, is that, well, you're the only voice I've ever known, and they're less than 40 years old. So obviously, and I've gotten messages from around the country. I got one the other day from somebody in Minnesota said, "I've listened to you all my life." I'm not quite sure how, but I've listened to you all my life. And the messages that have come from close and afar are just amazing.
Yeah. So the good news is you are going to be broadcasting this season, all of the home games, some select away games as well. And then Friday night, the home opener is going to be very special. Why don't you tell me about that?
It's going to be, well, first of all, very special. And I've kind of had my own theme, if you will, of one more time.
Yeah, one more time.
That's sort of where I'm at, one more time. So it'll be one more time of opening night. And there'll be a big block party starting out in front of the War Memorial, where they shut down the street and bring in all the food trucks and things like that. That's at 4 o'clock until 7 o'clock out in front. The team will be wearing a specialty jersey that night, and those jerseys will be available for auction starting Friday through the following Friday. You'll be able to go online to bid on those. And Warren, what was the other thing you're telling me? There was 3 things.
By the way, let's show Warren if we're going to show him. All right, wave to the camera, Warren.
No, I'm sorry, you have to see that.
No, it's all good. There he is. All right.
The 70th anniversary magnet set. The first 2,500 people get a magnet set commemorating the 70th anniversary. And it's a big year, 70th anniversary.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is it's not just your retirement year, so to speak, but also it's a big year for the Amerks. And what a franchise. What an incredible franchise we've had in our area.
I'd say very fortunate. We've gone through some lean years, but for the most part, it's been an uphill climb, then a downhill, almost disaster a few years, and then back up to this is the best right now. This is since Pagula came along and purchased the team, and we've really become an integral part of Pagula sports, and that has just brought us back to the top of the community, well respected.
And so do you feel like you're part of the Sabres organization?
Oh, yeah. Just a couple of days ago, we had our annual kickoff welcoming party, and we were there front and center, and there was a lot of talk in that about the Rochester Americans, so we went for a long time where we were really, I think, treated and felt like second-class citizens, but now under the current management and ownership, we are definitely a huge part of the whole organization.
So what happens after this?
People keep asking me that.
Well,
one of the guys in the locker room on the way out the door asked me that.
All right.
You know what? I don't know. I hate to put you off on the question.
That's all right.
But
if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah, it's sort of the situation of, I have such mixed emotions right now that I've just kind of told myself to relax. Just do the year, enjoy the season, and after it's over, then figure out what you're going to do. And actually, when you come right down to it, I'm still at the same place I was when I was 20 years old, and that is trying to figure out what I'm going to do when I grow up.
Oh, that's funny.
I've never grown up, so.
That's the best place to be. Maybe you could actually watch the game as a fan, just sitting. Yeah. I don't know.
I do want to get. Well, I watch the Sabres, and of course I watch the Bills, but any other games, the only reason that I watch those other games if there's guys playing that I know.
Yeah.
I want to see how they're doing, but I'm not all that much of a sports fan, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's something interesting. Although you have ventured into tennis and other sports to announce them, so you probably had to do your homework to get there. That's pretty impressive. So when you move through the season, do you expect some of the veteran players, those who have retired, to come back here and there? I mean, how is this going to look?
There's quite a few around. We have some events going on that brings them back on occasion, and especially with it being the 70th anniversary this year, there's going to be some things where the players come back, and that's another part of people. The guys that have come through here and played here love it here, and they still, even though they've gone beyond and had great NHL careers, they still think of Rochester and the Rochester Americans as a huge part of their upbringing. And so we're very fortunate in that we do get a lot of support from former players.
Yeah, by the way, I just picked up on the fact that when you said you're not a big sports fan, you were joking. I was a little dense on that one.
No, I wasn't joking.
Really?
No, I wasn't. I guess I'm kind of weird in a way, because sometimes if it comes down to I'm sitting and watching TV at night, instead of watching a sports game on TV, I'll watch Dancing with the Stars or The Voice or Amerks Got Talent, and those are my favorite shows. I just love the talent that young people have, and so I watch a lot of that.
Yeah, that's interesting. So not unlike the Amerks in a way, if you think about it, you like to see where the raw potential and then see what happens.
But I don't go to games. I've been to a few Sabres games, but I've never been to an NFL game in my life. Never have.
Well, you might have to remedy that.
And I really don't go to any other games. I'm so used to sitting in the press box where I got room to move my elbows out. To go and sit in the stands, I don't think I can do that.
Ask the Pagulas for a box seat or something like that.
And the thing is that I'm sure I could.
Yeah.
But then there's the traffic. You got to fight traffic on the way in and fight traffic on the way out. And I don't know. I guess I'm just weird.
I hear you. Any reflections before we wrap up here on where things stand as you move into the first of a last set of games that you're going to announce?
No, like I said, just such mixed emotions. People keep saying, "Well, congratulations," and I come back, well, I don't know that congratulations is the right word, or maybe more like condolences almost, because here I'm announcing that this is the end of my career. And when you end a career, you're not too far away from it's the end. So it's just gone so fast. I was always the kind that said, "Oh, I can't wait for Christmas. I can't wait for summer. I can't wait for the beginning of the season. I can't wait for this." Now I'm going, wait a minute, slow down. Let's let things settle out a little bit. So that's all I'm hoping for, is that we just enjoy ourselves and take it slow.
I love that. I've worked on that myself. I said, I can't wait. Am I wishing my life away here? So, Don, it's been a real pleasure. I've really enjoyed this talk, and not just because we share an industry, but also because I can see that your passion for the players and the organization is still very much there in full force. So I wish you the very best in the upcoming season.
Thank you. Great interview. I really appreciate the questions you've asked. It's been my pleasure.
All right. Well, the time went too fast. And Don Stevens, everyone, he is the play-by-play broadcaster for the Rochester Americans. You're going to be able to still hear his voice as he calls out the action throughout the 2025-2026 season, especially for the home games, some select away games. But this Friday, if you're free, it's going to be a doozy. A lot of great stuff happening. So if you're looking for something great to do, you will be part of Rochester history as the last chapter begins for Mr. Don Stevens. So thank him. So I want to thank him so much for coming by. And I want to thank you for watching this edition of Adam Interviews. As I keep saying, if you have friends or family that if they have a smart TV and they want to watch Rochester First News 8 content when they want, that's the perfect app to get. So please spread the word, and you can watch more of these great interviews as we continue on throughout the rest of the year. All right, everyone, take care, and we will talk soon.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.